Friends and relatives should always be extremely alarmed when someone enters a coma. The fact that their loved one is still alive gives the family some comfort, but the individual is unresponsive and there's a significant possibility that their body and mind might give out at any time. However, in rare occasions, a miracle occurs and a person emerges from a coma. For whatever reason, their bodies start working again when their minds recover control. Readjusting to their previous way of life takes some time, but everyone they know is greatly relieved. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. An article from 2007 in the Polish newspaper Gazeta Dziennikarska described the tale of Jan Grzyzewski, a railroad worker who had a serious brain injury in 1988 and went into a coma. The report claims that Jan was unconscious in a hospital bed for 19 years before realizing that his surroundings had changed drastically. However, the real account of Jan Grzyzewski's ordeal is much more bizarre. A coma is among the most terrifying outcomes of a brain injury. The brain is not dead, but it is not responding to any outside inputs, and there is a good risk that it will shut down at any time. People do, however, survive under these circumstances. Only a few years ago, a tale about this same event shocked a whole family in Poland. A report from 2007 in the Polish daily Gazeta Dziennikarska claims that in 1988, Jan Grzyzewski, a railway worker, had a brain injury that left him in a severe coma. The article stated at the time that medical professionals didn't think he would ever fully recover. But according to the paper's story in the same 2007 piece, Jan had eventually emerged from what turned out to be a 19-year coma, and the world had changed significantly from when he had left it. This tale took off like wildfire. News organizations took it up, and television reports continued to spread it. The public was astonished to learn that a guy had woken up from an almost 2-decade-long coma to discover a very different world. Newspapers and television programs saw parallels between the purportedly true narrative and the script of the 2003 film Goodbye Lenin. In the movie, an old pro-communist mother of a family in East Berlin wakes up from a coma in 1990 and tries to hide the fall of the Berlin Wall and East German communism from her. The fact that Jan had 4 children when he went into a coma was another astounding detail that was revealed. He awoke to find that he had 11 grandkids. It was said that Jan had a large extended family to get to know. Despite how bizarre that all sounded, the news kept covering it. Another sector that saw enormous advancements while Jan was unresponsive was technology. He was cited as stating, "Now I see people on the streets with mobile phones, and there are so many goods in the shops, it makes my head spin," in a Polish television interview. He was also reported in the Daily Telegraph as adding, "The only things in the stores when I lapsed into a coma were tea and vinegar. There were massive gasoline lines everywhere, and meat was rationed." He had woken up to a world full with riches. It was nearly too much for his comprehension. Jan was reportedly in a coma for 19 years, and Gertruda, his devoted wife, was his primary caregiver. Despite medical professionals' predictions that Jan would not survive more than a few years on life support, she stuck at his side the entire time. Talking about the pain Jan's coma caused her, Gertruda spoke with the Polish television station. "I cried a lot and I prayed a lot," she declared. "People who visited us frequently inquired, 'When will he pass away?' However, he is still alive." It was unknown to Gertruda if her dear husband would ever be aware again. People were enthralled with the touching tale of Jan's extraordinary voyage from all around the world. But when the Guardian newspaper chose to go a bit more for additional information, several facts started to emerge as inconsistent. At that point, the most shocking revelation was revealed to the enthralled readers. While Jan's narrative wasn't wholly made up, many of the specifics were. However, who was it that the reporter for The Guardian spoke with and who acknowledged all of these lies? It was Jan, the one and only. "I never said any of those things," Jan stated in an interview with the reporter. "I wasn't unconscious for 19 years. I only talked to one journalist and their reporting was inaccurate. New details surfaced with each printing of the story." The moment Jan revealed this, the reporter was taken aback. Everything changed. Jan admitted to the reporter that, contrary to what news outlets had reported, his 1988 head injury had only left him in a coma for 4 years. He was confined to a wheelchair ever since he woke up from Jan, then refuted the whole "goodbye London" aspect of his statement with his 4-year journey. Contrary to claims, he had not gone into a coma in one world and woke up in a totally other one. Everything they said I hadn't seen, I saw. I saw my grandkids and watched the news on TV, so even though I couldn't always explain myself, Jan told The Guardian. These recent advancements piqued my interest. The newspaper that first published his tale, for whatever reason, was attempting to make a big issue out of something that wasn't quite as weird as it first appeared to be. Wojciech Strogowski, Jan's physician, even verified the updated information. He acknowledged that Jan had not been in a coma for the whole 19 years that he had been incapacitated. Gertrude, for her part, somewhat agreed with her husband's account of what happened. Jan was not in a coma, she stated to The Guardian. Everything I said to him was comprehended by him. He first communicated with me by showing me his face when he wanted anything to eat or drink. He said something later, it seems, that Jan had only had conversations with one Polish journalist, who inflated the facts of his case based on his account. So who was it that disseminated this made-up tale over the globe? The response was not too unexpected. The incorrect information was disseminated by a reporter for the newspaper Gazeta Jeleniogorska. When The Guardian contacted Malgorzata Kruwinska, the paper's top editor, regarding the report, she responded right away, saying, "It's not a lie. The issue is that comas come in a variety of forms." This was a very puzzling response, and it was not her only comment. The editor-in-chief added, "There is a kind of coma where people are unconscious, and others where they wake up from time to time and then fall back into a coma. This was the case with Jan Brzezinski. The editor also said that even if Jan's coma had lasted only 4 years, there were still dramatic changes in Poland during that time. Jan and Gertrude are still very much in love, and although the truth about his story was much different from what had been published, one thing was certain. Gertrude still spent nearly 2 decades caring for her disabled husband. Jan's notoriety drastically decreased once the real tale came to light, but he didn't care because he still had his health and his beloved wife by his side. Thus, while Jan's narrative might not have been as noteworthy as everyone believed, the backstory is definitely not something that is published on a daily basis. Even though everything was made up, it was still really interesting. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.